Hello, hello! Pete's Packs here with our second commander deck. This one is Divine Convocation. This is the Jeskai colored deck. And we have Xalia, the Broken Halo, as our lead card. So let's get into this and see what we get. As with the last one, which I totally forgot about this. Oh, you can pull the sides open on these. Oh, that's cool. Oh, that makes this so much... It just folds open. Oh, okay, that's cool. So this one comes with a green planner die, apparently. This one's a lot less shiny than the other one. It's got almost like a matte finish on it. But it's this nice emerald green color. Then we have our black envelope. Black envelope of blackness. It's actually a really nice matte black envelope. I might save these for like gift cards or something. Have our collector booster sample pack, which we'll put with our other collector booster sample packs to open as its own video. Our pack of planes. That's planes with an E. Once we get the outer deck shell gone, we have our 3 half tokens as usual. Unmarked Planeswalker, life counter, our little packet, fold down deck box, that is a Tuck style deck box with Kala on it. Little set of token or Kozla, and then you have 10 +1/+1 counters, of course semi-foiled, and a spacer. Still don't quite understand why they still do the spacer, but it's alright. And these do fold flat, which is kind of nice. Especially when you're opening a whole bunch of them. Alright, so in our insert, we have the special rules for plane chase and commander on one side, along with... Oh, it's the same for all of them. So you got the different rays with different planes, special rules for commander, special rules for plane chase. Then we have Kozla's backstory, little blurb on the deck, and then really nice feature art for Kozla. Okay. The deck box is a little warped, which is interesting. Skews off to the side some. Alright, so Kozla, the Broken Halo. 3, and then Jeskai colored, so blue, red, white, blue. America! No. That's Convoke, Flying, Vigilance, Haste. Whenever you cast another spell that has Convoke, scry 2, then draw a card. Very nice. Now, there aren't that many Convoke cards in blue and red. In fact, I think almost all of them are either from Magic 2014 and from March of the Machine. So our second card, or our second potential commander for this, is Saint Traft and Raulis? Rem Carolus. And my brain this morning. Whenever Saint Traft and Rem Carolus becomes tapped, create a 1/1 red human creature token. If this is the first time this ability has resolved this turn, if it's the second time, create a 1/1 blue spirit creature token with flying. If it's the third time, create a 4/4 white angel creature token with flying. Whenever you cast a spell that has Convoke, untap Saint Traft and Rem Carolus. Okay. We have Cloud of Fairies, this time with new art. I think this is the first time I've ever seen an alternate art for Cloud of Fairies. We're going to turn that ever so slightly so we can see the darker stuff a little better. Yep. So very interesting. Of course, Cloud of Fairies combos with all kinds of stuff, especially like bounce effects and things like that. It does have cycling. It's a good 1/1 flyer. Command Tower, we all know what that does. Command Sphere, Staple Rock. Ephemeral Shields, 1 and a white, Convoke. Target creature gains indestructible until end of turn. So that's interesting. Especially with things with Vigilance. Can really come out of nowhere. Evolving Wilds, we know what that is by now. Fractured Power Stone, one of the mana rocks that also interacts with the Planar Die. Nice. Goblin Instigator, good token generator. It's been reprinted approximately 1 billion times now, and I'm noticing that several of these cards are actually misprinted. So you'll see there's a very thin white line in between the black border and the red, which indicates a skew on the black layer. It's interesting. So, Goblin Medics, this was recently reprinted and Dominaria Remastered. Also combos with a ton of stuff, so whenever it becomes tapped, you can deal damage to stuff. Really useful alongside Convoke and anything that untaps things. Impact Tremors, another thing that just combos off with all kinds of stuff. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, it deals 1 damage to each opponent. So that, along with Cloud of Fairies and repeatable bounce effect, can win the game. Spirited Companion, staple and standard at this point. 1 and a white enchantment creature that draws you a card. Suture Priest. I'm noticing a lot of synergy with ETBs and tap effects in this deck. So whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may gain a life. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under an opponent's control, you may have that player lose a life. Paramorphic Expanse, we know what that does. Village Bellringer, when it comes into play, untap all creatures you control. This can superpower your Convoke stuff. Also has Flash. Also has an infinite combo with Kiki Jiki. So I doubt there's a Kiki Jiki in here. Or a Fable the Mirror Breaker, so 2 potential upgrades to this deck would be to add Kiki Jiki and Fable the Mirror Breaker, because this actually goes infinite with Kiki Jiki. And can go infinite with Mirror Breaker and any kind of mana dork. Banisher Priest, 1/1 white. When it enters the battlefield, exile target creature and opponent controls until this leaves the battlefield. So, creature-based removal, so it's nice. Arcane Signet, we all know what this does. Battle Screech, Pauper Staple. So creates 2 white tokens when it comes into play, which almost gives you the complete flashback, which is tap 3 untapped white creatures. So very nice. It has a semi-convoke on the flashback, and then it powers Convoke on its own. Chant of Vitu-Ghazi. Now this is from the original Ravnica. Convoke, of course, originally being the Selesnya guild keyword, but 6 white Convoke as an instant. Prevent all damage that would be dealt by creatures this turn. You gain life equal to the damage prevented this way, so it can have huge life swings. Conclave Tribunal. This was from RTR originally, if I remember correctly. So 3 and a white, Convoke, and then it's effectively an O-ring. So it's an O-ring. But with the slightly updated templating. Devouring Light, this is new art, but this was originally in Ravnica. It was a very powerful card in Ravnica, but 1 white instant Convoke, exile target attacking or blocking creature. It's a great way to clear out things. Durgar Hedge Mage, 2 and hybrid red-white. This was from, I think, Eventide? Might have been Shadowmoor. When it enters the battlefield, if you control 2 or more mountains, you may destroy target artifact. If you control 2 or more planes, you may destroy target enchantment. So, nice way to get rid of artifacts and enchantments. Fallow Sage, when it becomes tapped, you may draw a card. Great with Convoke. Flight of Equinox. Convoke, 4/5 flyer for 8, which I could easily see this being replaced with one of the blue Convoke spells, or one of the blue Convoke flyers from March Machine. Improbable Alliance. This is from Throne of Eldraine. It's a great token producer whenever you draw your second card each turn. And also at higher mana, once you get to enough mana, you can use it to loot. Migratory Route. 3 a white and a blue. Create 4 white bird creature tokens with flying. And that has basic land cycling. Very nice. Mystic Monastery, Rogue's Passage, Seraph of the Masses. 7 mana Convoke flyer that has toughness and power and toughness equal to the number of creatures you control. Very nice. Skull Clamp. Okay. Well, this goes hard. So Skull Clamp, of course, was strong enough to be banned in Standard when it was around. Also banned in Legacy, if I remember correctly. And banned in Modern. One of the best draw engines ever printed for token producers. So that's a thing. We should all know what Skull Clamp does at this point. Wand of the World Soul. 2 and a white. Enters the battlefield tap to add a white. Tap the next spell you cast this turn has Convoke. Wow. Okay. So huge enabler for this deck. So you can put just about anything in along with this to power out Convoke. Flock Chaser Phantom, 4 white blue for 5/5 flying vigilant. Whenever it attacks, the next spell you cast this turn has Convoke, and it has Convoke itself. So same kind of thing, used to enable other stuff. Wildfire Awakener, X, 1 red-white, Convoke. Whenever it enters the battlefield, create X 1/1 red elemental creature tokens. Whenever this creature becomes tapped, it deals 1 damage to target player. So you'll almost never want to do this for less than everything you can, because it produces a ton of tokens when it comes into play that can then be used for a Convoke or any number of other things. But that's a huge enabler alongside other things in here. Ichor Elixir. If you would roll 1 or more planar die, instead roll that many planar dice +1 and ignore 1. Then it's a mana rock that produces 2 colorless. Very nice. Path of the Ghost Hunter. X, 1 and a white. Create X 1/1 white spirit creature tokens with flying. Will the Planeswalkers, starting with you. Each player votes Planeswalker Chaos. If Planeswalk gets more votes, Planeswalk. Chaos gets more votes, or is tied, Chaos ensues. This is great along with playing Plane Chase, or Planescape rather, and yeah, that's the whole thing. This plus the other enablers as well can produce a ton of Convoke, or tokens for Convoke. Deluxe Dragster, 4 and a blue. Can't be blocked except by vehicles. When it deals combat damage to a player, you may cast target instant or sorcery card from that player's graveyard without paying its mana cost. That spell would be put into a graveyard, exile instead. Wow. that could lead to some really busted stuff. That's a 4/3 with crew 2. Mist Meadow Vanisher, 2 and a hybrid white-blue. When it becomes tapped, exile up to 1 target non-land, non-token permanent. Return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. So a good way to flicker stuff. Nesting Dovehawk. We went over this one in another deck, or actually I think we pulled it from a set booster. 3 and a white flyer at 2/2 at the beginning of combat on your turn, populate. So at the beginning of combat, you create a token that's a copy of another token you control. Creature token, specifically. Whenever a creature token enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on it. This, plus the other Convoke stuff, to make tokens, can get this thing huge really fast. Kaikar, Wind's Fury. Very nice. This was from either M20 or M21. I don't remember which one. But this let you just create an obnoxious number of spirits, and you can sacrifice spirits for red mana. Additionally, this can be another legendary to run the deck off of, so you can have this in place of your commander. And Kaikar is very, very powerful as commander. Elspeth, Sun's Champion. Another thing that just spit out tons of tokens. And it can be a board wipe. For creature's power 4 or greater, and on top of that, it is very easy to emblem Elspeth Sun's Champion to get +2/+2 and flying to all your creatures. Also, you can emblem this more than once to stack the effects. The Locust God, another thing that just spews out creatures. So whenever you draw a card, create a 1/1 blue and red insect creature token with flying and haste. And then you can loot for 4 off of it. It's flyer. It is 6 mana, but even when this was on standard, it produced boatloads of tokens. Angel of Finality, 3 and a white for a 3/4 flyer. When it enters the battlefield, exile target player's graveyard. So both a pretty well-costed creature and graveyard hate. Angel of Salvation, flash, convoke. So it has both flash and convoke. You can cast this as an instant, and you can convoke it. Flying, 5/5 for 8. When it comes into play, prevent the next 5 damage that would be dealt this turn to any number of targets divided as you choose. So this can be used in combat while you're blocking to blow out your opponent. It can also be used to stop sweepers, specifically damage-based sweepers. Can be pretty strong. Austere Command. Most people know what Austere Command does at this point, but you get to choose 2. Destroy all artifacts, enchantments, creatures with mana value 3 or less, and creatures with mana value 4 or greater. So this can be a 4 mana wrath, a 6 mana wrath, or it can be a partial wrath that also takes out artifacts or enchantments. Like, it's just a good all-around way to clean stuff up. Although I do, at this point, prefer Farewell in this slot. So at 6 mana, Farewell lets you do the same things, except it's exile. You don't get to split creature by mana cost, unfortunately, but you do get to also exile graveyards if you want, and you can choose multiple modes. So, Austere Command could potentially be upgraded by Farewell, depending on how you're wanting to play. We have Chasm Skulker, 2 and a blue. Whenever you draw a card, put a +1/+1 counter on it. When it dies, create X 1/1 blue squid creature tokens with Island Walk, where X is the number of +1/+1 counters on it. Then we have Cultivator's Caravan, great mana rock that is also a beater later on. Amiria Angel, 2 white for a 3/3 flyer, that whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you may create a 1/1 white bird creature token with flying. That plays into Convoke very well. Exotic Orchard, we know what that is. Frostboil Snarl, it's a fast land. Let's see, Fury Calm Snarl, same kind of cycle, or same cycle. Hour of Reckoning, this is the Convoke Wrath that destroys all non-token creatures. This can be free. I believe this was originally in Ravnica. Keeper of the Accord. So 3 and a white. At the beginning of each opponent's end step, if that player controls more creatures than you, create a 1/1 white soldier creature token. At the beginning of each opponent's end step, if that player controls more lands than you may search a library for basic planes and put it onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. So this is huge for the catch-up ability, basically. So your ability to catch up to your opponents. We'll just keep powering stuff out. Cur Keep, this was originally from Time Spiral, if I remember correctly, but token producer on a land, always nice. Mentor the Meek, whenever another creature with power 2 or less enters the battlefield under your control, you may pay 1 if you do draw a card. This has been reprinted several times now, and every time it's just a fantastic draw engine, especially for white decks. Nadir Kraken, we got this originally in Theros Beyond Death. Great little loop with Nadir Kraken and Mentor the Meek, where if you have enough mana, you can just keep drawing cards and making tokens. Because this, whenever you draw a card, you can pay 1 to make a token and make Nadir Kraken bigger. Mentor the Meek, when the token comes into play, you can pay 1 to draw a card and then just go back and forth until you're out of mana. And since you're using Convoke for most of your spells anyway, it doesn't really make a difference. We have Port Town. Good old Port Town. Prairie Stream, tool that you can do stuff with. Secure the Waste, fantastic token producer that you can do at instant speed, so you can make a bunch of tokens at the end of your opponent's turn, just before it gets back to yours, and you have a ton of stuff to convoke with afterwards. Skycloud Expanse, filter into blue-white. Got our temples, all 3 temples for our colors. Venerated Loxodon, this was huge in, I think it was War of the Spark. There's Convoke, and it also lets you buff your Convoke creatures, so you can get really aggressive really fast. Whirlwind of Thought from Ikoria, if I remember correctly. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, draw a card. So great enabler. Soul Ring, we all know what that does by now. Stoke the Flames, reprinted in March of the Machines from M14, if I remember correctly. 4 damage to any target with Convoke. Really nice way to get the last little bit of damage through or to clear the route. Swords to Plowshares, we all know what that does by now. Tetsuo Umezawa Fugitive. Creatures where you control with power or toughness 1 or less can't be blocked. So not only is this a great way to sneak in creatures, but with how many tokens you're producing, you could just build up a token army and swing for lethal unchecked. Good old Wear Tear. Modern staple, actually legacy staple as well. Good way to deal with pesky artifacts and enchantments, and just a great card. Temporal Cleansing, new from March of the Machines. Actually, it might be a reprint, now that I think about it. It has Convoke and lets you deal with non-land permanents, putting them back into your opponent's deck. Meeting of Minds, it's a divinity with Convoke that costs 1 more. So if you tap 1 creature, divination. If you tap 1 creature, it's divination. If you tap 2, it's really good. If you tap 3, it's 2 cards for 1 mana. If you tap 4 creatures, it's better than Thoughtcast. So, Shatter the Source. This is another one from March of the Machines. Good way to spike 6 damage onto a creature, planeswalker, or battle, or just destroy an artifact. And it has Convoke. Rin's Resolve, making a bit of a splash in Modern right now. And Pioneer lets you double up on your exile effects. Cut Short, destroy target planeswalker that was activated this turn or tapped creature. So, extra way to deal with planeswalkers. Joyful Storm Sculptor, another one from March. When it enters the battlefield, create 2 blue and red elemental creature tokens. When you cast a spell that has Convoke, it deals 1 damage to each opponent and each battle they protect. So this is a good way to power out battles. We have Artful Refusal, also has Convoke. It's an instant speed counter spell, or draw 2, discard 2. Actually, you can do both, and it is 6 mana with Convoke. We have a bunch of plains, a bunch of islands, a bunch of mountains. Our Kozla, the Broken Halo. Bunch of tokens. Let's look at our tokens. So we've got a bird, Kobolds of Kur Keep. Okay, interesting. A spirit, a white spirit and a blue spirit. Nice. Both 1/1 flyers. We have a warrior token that's Elspeth's Emblem. Very nice. We have a soldier token that is an insect token. This is one of those decks that you might want to buy 2 of just to get multiple copies of the tokens, even if you're a commander player. Then we have an Eldrazi Angel. I don't remember what the Eldrazi was made by. I'm sure there was something, but I don't remember what it was. Then you have a squid, human, and a tentacle, human, goblin, Eldrazi. Don't remember what made the Eldrazi, though. We have an elemental. So this is obviously the better one, though. We have an elemental fairy and our little reminder card. This is one of those ones where you're going to want more copies of the tokens because you're going to be putting out a ton of tokens. Now, I wonder what creates the Eldrazi. I don't remember seeing anything that creates an Eldrazi. So I may be missing something? Huh. I don't know what makes the Eldrazi. It's strange. I wonder if there was... Oh, you know what? It may be from the planes. Let's get into our planes. So we have reality shaping. When you encounter reality shaping starting with you, each player may put a permanent card from their hand onto the battlefield. Pretty neat. It's basically Hypergenesis, well, Eureka or Hypergenesis, but only once, and or like a slightly better show and tell. We have Gavany. All creatures have vigilance. That makes sense. It's from Innistrad, of course. Whenever chaos ensues, creatures you control gain indestructible until end of turn. Hedron Fields of... Yep, here we go. Hedron Fields of Agadim from Zendikar. Creatures with power 7 or greater can't attack or block. And whenever chaos ensues, create a 7/7 colorless Eldrazi token with Annihilator 1. We have Krosa. All creatures get +2/+2. This is on Dominaria, of course. Whenever chaos ensues, you may add Wooburg. Stensia on Innistrad. Whenever a player deals combat damage to 1 or more players for the first time each turn, put a +1. Or whenever a creature deals combat damage, not combat damage. Yeah, I keep adding that in. Whenever a creature deals damage to 1 or more players for the first time each turn, put a +1/+1 counter on it. Chaos when Whenever chaos ensues, each creature you control gains tap. This creature deals 1 damage to target creature or to target player or planeswalker until end of turn. Okay. Valor's Reach. Whenever your team attacks with exactly 2 creatures, those creatures gain double strike until end turn. Valor's Reach is on Kylum. Whenever chaos ensues, untap up to 2 target creatures your team controls. If it's a main phase, there is an additional combat phase after this phase, followed by an additional main phase. Huh. Then we have Strixhaven on Archivos. Arcavios? Arcavios? We're going to go with Arcavios. I like Arcavios. Instant and sorcery spells players... Wait, what? Instant and sorcery spells players cast have demonstrate. Whenever a player casts an instant or sorcery spell, they may copy it. If they do, they choose an opponent to also copy it. Players choose new targets for their copies. Huh. Okay. Whenever chaos ensues, return up to 1 target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard to its owner's hand. The fertile lands of Solvenia. This is on Antalya? Antalya. Huh. Whenever a player taps a land for mana, that player adds 1 mana of any type that land produced. Whenever chaos ensues, reveal cards from the top of your planar deck until you reveal a plane card. Chaos ensues on that plane, then put all cards revealed this way on the bottom of your planar deck in any order. Huh. That is interesting. Enigma Ridges. This is from Acquire? Or Echoear? Acquire? I'm going to go with Acquire. When you planeswalk to Enigma Ridges, each player who controls fewer lands than the player who controls the most lands searches their library for a number of basic lands less than or equal to the difference, then reveals them, puts them in their hand, then shuffles. Whenever chaos ensues, draw a card, then you may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield. Okay. Norn Seed Core. This is from New Phyrexia. When you planeswalk to Norn Seed Core, chaos ensues. Whenever chaos ensues, reveal cards from the top of your planar deck until you reveal a plane card. Planeswalk to it, except don't planeswalk away from Wait, what? Whenever chaos ensues, reveal cards from the top of your planar deck until you reveal a plane card. Planeswalk to it, except don't planeswalk away from any plane. Put the rest of the revealed cards on the bottom of your planar deck in any order. So you can't So you end up with 2 planes out? Wait, can you have multiple planes out with this? What? So this comes out. Chaos ensues. You reveal till you reveal another one. But you don't planeswalk away from this one. At least that's the way it's written. So then if chaos ensues again, you reveal another one. Or until you reveal another one and chaos ensues. When chaos ensues, do they all go? That's an interesting set of questions. I don't know the comprehensive rules for this game, or for this part or this section of the game well enough to know one way or the other. That's interesting. All right. Well, thank you for joining me on this adventure. I'm now just very confused when it comes to that specific plane, but it's all good. As always, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, stay awesome. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.